Hello, and welcome to It's Your Lymph, a podcast about all things immunity, health, beauty, and longevity. I'm your host, Lisa Levitt Gainsler, and I've dedicated my entire career to working with people's lymphatic systems because the results are nothing short of astonishing. Come along as we reconnect to the flow of life and learn how to harness the power of lymph. Welcome to this episode of It's Your Lymph. My special guest today is Shelly Marshall. She's a holistic esthetician. She's an RN and founder of Beauty Shamans. She is such a delight, and she has so much knowledge about how to take care of your skin. She's got a lot of awareness about the lymphatic system. And in this episode, she's going to share all the tips to getting glowing skin from within, whether it's from using a gua sha stone, a wand, your hands, how to move lymph fluid with face yoga. We also dip into the waters of botox, fillers, diet, and movement, and all the different ways that your emotions, stress, and sleep can affect your skin. Thank you so much, Shelly, for being here today. I'm so excited for this conversation. Now let's get into it. Couple quick ice-breaking questions for you. Number one, my favorite question. What is your favorite place you've traveled?
Oh boy. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. This is such an honor because I'm actually such a huge fan of you,
Aww.
Lisa. But okay, so let's see. That's a great question. My favorite place that I've traveled to, I would say Japan.
Tell me.
Well, I just loved the culture of Japan. You know, I'm half Japanese. It's such a rich culture, and the people there are just they're humans.
Oh.
They are humans through and through. They have so much discipline and respect, and I just felt really at peace.
I love that you're saying that. You know, it's on my bucket list to do with my family, to take my kids and my husband. I've been wanting to go there for a long time. I feel deeply connected to Japanese culture. And one of the things I love about what you do is you have a rich dedication and honoring of different cultures and healing from different cultures. I do as well. We share that interest, and it's so nice to know that that's your heritage. I part of your heritage. I love that. Okay, so before I go into that further, because I'll geek out on that. We could talk about Japan for an hour. Second icebreaker question. If your lymph could talk, what would it say?
It would say, drink more water.
Right? Tell me why.
Well, okay. My husband makes fun of me so much because we have a Berkey filter, and it's one of the best filters. And I drink so much water, but he gets upset with me sometimes and says, "You drank all the water. Please slow down and stop drinking all of our supply of water." But I am always so thirsty, and I know how good water is for the lymph. So I'm always wanting to just flush and flush and flush. So if my lymph could talk, it would definitely say, drink more water.
You know, I love that. Yes. People used to think in the lymphatic community that if you drank more water, you'd have more fluid retention. It's actually quite the opposite with lymphatic drainage. In fact, doctors used to prescribe diuretics to people who had lymphedema, which is the excess swelling of lymphatic fluid, because they thought it would help get rid of that water retention. And in fact, the difference between lymphatic fluid and regular water retention is that lymph contains the excess proteins, right? That metabolic waste, that it's a protein-rich fluid, not just water weight. So people were getting more fibrotic skin when they took the diuretic. So, you know, educating people to help them understand drinking more water will help flush their lymph. That is so great. So that leads me into my next question is I want to give you a more respectable introduction. I want you to just tell us a little bit about why you came up with the term beauty shamans. What is it? What exactly do you do? I know you're a nurse. I know you're an esthetician. I know you're a lover of lymph, but tell me a little bit about your story, please.
A little bit about my story, which is what led to Beauty Shamans. I was always very fascinated and interested in skin because of my own struggles. So I was always wanting to learn more and more. I was the girl who was clipping out everything from YM and 17 magazine and making a a little collage of like, all the answers, because that's really where we got all the answers, from my generation. So I struggled with my skin a lot. I became an esthetician right after college because I wanted to dive deeper. And then from there, I just became so much more interested in the human body, how it functions, how it works, because the skin is our largest organ, but it was affected by so many other things. So I wanted to go a little bit deeper. So I went to nursing school. I became a nurse. I, decided for a very short time I wanted to save lives and not wrinkles. I became a full-fledged nurse in a hospital, working in a med-surg stroke unit. And what I envisioned, the care that I was going to give, was not at all the reality. And I have a lot of respect for nurses. I think it's the most rewarding and humbling job that you can do. But for me, I wanted to do more for people. I was not able to give the kind of care that people needed to heal. I felt that it was a place where you go to get things fixed, and it wasn't necessarily a healing environment. So I went back into skincare, and, with all that knowledge and with that experience, you go to these low points, in your life, stress, abuse, just total chaos in your mind and in your body and in your environment. And I think it's at those low points that things start to just really click and make sense for you. And so I was trying to figure out, what I wanted to do with my life and, what I wanted to do like in the world. And the word beauty shamans kept coming up. My name and what I identify with is beauty shamans, because that is what I want to promote in this world, because beauty is this expression of health. And the shaman is, such an amazing ancient healer, a traditional healer in ancient cultures. But really, to me, what it represented was being your own healer and representative of changing your perspective and altering your state of consciousness to guide you in your life so that you could heal yourself. So I switched out of nursing. I'm back in skincare now, and I have this amazing line of products and services called Beauty Shamans, all with the intention of helping to heal their skin from within.
I just love that story. And I feel like our stories are so parallel in the same way. I too had acne when I was a kid. I was like always popping my zits. I was on Accutane. I was on antibiotics. I was on everything. I had terrible skin. And it wasn't until massage school, when I took a course in lymphatic drainage, that helped clear my skin. It helped my digestion. And similar to you, I didn't go into nursing, but with the lymphatic drainage, I worked at UCLA Medical Center working with cancer patients, because once you're a certified lymphedema therapist, you can work with cancer patients with this work. And similar to what you experienced, what I think we find in Western culture here in the United States is hospitals are great for emergency care.
Yes.
Right? It can help save your life. And I think what it sounds to me like what you and I both have seen with clients and people is so much of chronic conditions actually take root slowly. And there's so much that you can do through diet, exercise, stress, and sleep to really help fertilize that soil so that that skin, which you're saying is an expression of within, we can caretake it from within. So I just love that. And one of the things I love about your products is one of your main ingredients is seaweed. And I want to talk about that. I'm such a proponent of seaweed. Seaweed's great for your lymphatic system. But what I really want to ask you is, my skin is always better in the summer. It's always better when I'm swimming in the ocean and with a little sunlight. So tell me about your products. Tell me about your love of seaweed and how you think that's so essential for the skin.
Seaweed has always been a prominent superfood in my life because of my Japanese culture. So we grew up eating seaweed all the time. It was part of like our normal diet. So I always knew that it was super nutritious for the body. This was before I had, delved deep into like actually what the proponents of seaweed were. But when I was working in the hospital, one of the things that would always happen every morning as the doctors would do their rounds, and what they were looking for as they came around to see the patients, were little micronutrients, the electrolytes, the vitamins, the blood cells, the little tiny minute details of what's going on with the patient. And so, at the same time that I was, working as a nurse, I was really into learning about holistic health at the same time. And so I was learning about seaweed and how seaweed actually has all of the minerals and trace elements that our cells need to sustain life. It has the same mineral makeup, pretty much almost identical to our own blood plasma. And in fact, they used to use seaweed as an emergency blood transfusion, back in the day when they didn't understand, how blood compatibility worked. They tried to use seaweed in some cases, and it was successful in some cases because of the compatibility. And that's because, when you go in the ocean, your body, since you're made up of these minerals, it becomes bioavailable to your system.
Right.
And that's why it works so well with the lymph. That's why it works so well for the health of the skin, because it starts to allow all of these little enzymatic processes to start happening and allows your cells to start functioning optimally. And so that really was how it became the star of my product line, because I thought, well, how could I formulate with just regular water when I could be using isotonic seawater, which is water that was meant to heal our bodies from ancient times. Even Hippocrates was telling people, go in the ocean. It's the best way to cure your eczema, your depression,
Yes.
your aches and pains, whatever.
Yes. Yeah. And even in Europe, they send people to take waters.
Yeah.
Right? To the waters to heal. Right?
Well, the word spa is actually a Latin acronym for sanus per aquam, health through water. And so that's how that came about, that we have spas now, is that you go and you heal through water.
I love that. And same with lymph and nymph and the waters and all of that. Okay. I love you. I love you so much. All right. Okay. Wait, listen. All right. So when you see clients now, what does your practice look like? And what do people come to you for? You sell tools, and I want to ask you about your tools in a moment, because I have so many deep questions about your tools. You have a video course, and then you see people in your practice. And when you see people either one-on-one virtually or in your studio, what are they coming to you for?
So I see people twice a week at a physical location. And then the rest of my time, I have a virtual studio, virtual consultations, and then, my products and my services online. But when people come to see me in person, I work at a spa in downtown Manhattan. And it has shifted. I used to be, a laser technician. So people will come to me for their laser hair removal or, their waxing or just.
Okay, wait, pause.
Yeah.
Pause there. We're pausing there. Laser hair removal waxing. How is that for your lymph? Yes or no, or medium?
I want to say it's not good, but then that would mean that my whole body is in trouble because before the time I learned about lymph, I pretty much lasered my entire body.
You did?
I did. All the hair on my arms, legs.
Did you do your armpits?
I did.
You did the armpits? Did you do your mustache? I do want to do my mustache.
I never really had a lot of hair there, and it's a little bit more difficult to work there because maybe lasers are different now. I don't do so much laser hair removal now, but it used to be the hair has to be a certain thickness.
Right.
To work. So I never really did it too much there. But yeah.
Okay. So, right. So now you would say, okay, listen, and I do, for our audience who's listening, I do want to kind of put the caveat in, which is there's a lot of things we do that aren't great for your lymphatic system, but mostly people can handle it, right? If you're not lymphatically compromised by having tons of lymph nodes removed or surgeries or radiation and chemo, etc. However, some people might notice they have a sensitivity, and something like laser removal, they might want to question. People get really mad at me when I tell them that about tattoos.
Oh, yes.
I get such hate mail.
Yes, because if you have a tattoo, then it's a hard pill to swallow.
That's right, because the ink never gets cleared out of the lymph nodes.
Yeah.
So people get really mad, but I do need to say that sometimes. But I always tell people, don't worry about it, but just know that.
Yes, it's something that you have to work with. Once it's gone, then, I haven't been lasered in over 10 years now. So I've stayed away from that. And now most people come see me for skincare. They mostly come see me for facial massage, for gua sha treatments, for reflexology. And then I have some people that come in, they say, I want a treatment, but I really just want to talk to you and have you consult what's good for my face or what you see, what you feel, stuff like that.
So tell me about face yoga, because I see on Instagram you do a lot of face yoga. So can you explain to me what is face yoga and how does that differ from, let's say, gua sha?
Well, they're all ways of manipulating the tissue to help improve the health of the skin. And what face yoga is it's a series of different poses, different facial stretches or facial expressions that help to lift and tone the face while smoothing away fine lines and wrinkles. And it does this by exercising the muscles that don't get enough exercise in our daily lives, and also releasing tension and stress from the muscles that we hold too tightly. So it's a combination, and it's finding that balance of which muscles to exercise and essentially do bicep curls for. If you go to the gym to work out your body, you're going to start getting stronger, more toned, things are going to start looking more lifted. But then there are also some muscles of the face that you don't want to over exercise. For example, the muscles in between the brows, you don't want to over exercise those because they get enough exercise on their own in our daily lives when we're looking at a computer, when we're highly focused, when we're upset or angry. So for those muscle groups, you want to work your face and hold your face in certain expressions to relax the muscle, release the tension, or use mind to muscle exercises to train your face to no longer make those expressions. We always hear the old wives' tale, don't hold your face in that position, it's going to stay that way. It's not untrue.
You know what I love about that explanation, because I'm always looking at things through a lymphatic lens, which is we say the same thing for the entire body with the lymphatic system that depends on muscle movement to move the lymph fluid, the waste of the body, towards the lymph nodes to be filtered out. So similarly with face yoga, we want that stretching of the skin, we want that absorption of the lymph fluid, we want that muscle contraction, we want that deep breathing, we want to remove the tension from the face. So that is just all in the same beautiful lineage of lymphatic drainage doing face yoga. So the other thing that I want to ask you about is Botox and fillers, because they do say with Botox, if you get Botox, around that third eye, I call it the Botox line in between the eyebrows, it does train your muscles not to move as much. But what do you think about Botox? What do you think about fillers?
I think it's an individual decision. I think that some people really like them, and you should always do what is going to make you the happiest, because there's no chemical in this world that is going to be stronger than looking at yourself in the mirror and loving yourself. That being said, since I've learned more about things like face yoga and gua sha and facial massage and how it can actually improve the health of the tissue and the muscles, I have gravitated more towards that. I used to work as a cosmetic nurse. I still do some injections of Botox for some clients, but I completely stopped doing filler just because of the potential complications that I don't feel are always super safe for people. And so just knowing that, I just didn't want that energy in my life anymore. And I used to get Botox and fillers myself. And I can say with absolute confidence that yes, it does work, but I didn't like how my face was starting to develop further as I age. I did not like how it was sort of stunting my advancement into my wisdom years, I would say. I started to notice that my whole face was changing. My eyebrows looked heavy. My cheeks looked too filled. I was getting to the point where I wasn't recognizing the person that I saw in the mirror, and
Wow.
I didn't like that. Although it looked
Right.
great and people thought, "Oh my gosh, you look amazing," I was not able to resonate with what I was seeing. And I think also, like I said before, there can be complications with
Yes.
injections.
Yes, I want to ask you about that briefly. I have worked with people more so with fillers, with the fillers gone awry, and then they have to go back in and have them dissolved. And I've worked with them in the face lymphatically to help move that out. So I want to ask you about that. But I also am curious about I have a two-part question for you.
Okay.
Number one, do you see filler going awry more than Botox? Because I have also seen that. And then number two, how does the body process Botox versus how does the body process filler?
Yes. So your first question was, have I seen anything go awry with fillers? Especially fillers, yes. Because it is a product that you are placing into the skin, there is always a possibility that your body will have an immune response to it,
Right.
that it could be misplaced and look, kind of funky, the placement of where they put it. It can migrate. It can.
Yes.
Mhm.
How does it migrate? I don't understand that.
Oh gosh, that has that has to do with the placement of the product, the depth that the product was put in, and the type of product that the injector has used. So there are a lot of things that can go wrong. I would say the biggest risk that you have when you get fillers is that if it is injected into a blood vessel, that can cut off the blood supply, and then you can develop necrotic tissue around or above that area. And that is one of the biggest risks of filler. That can lead to stroke, it can lead to blindness, it can lead to dead tissue that takes months to recover from and heal from. And that's really one of the biggest reasons why I just said, you know what? That has never happened to me with my clients, but it is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. And I am not
Right.
willing to take that risk and put someone else in harm so that I can make money.
Right.
So it's different from Botox, which is a medication. And what happens with Botox or Dysport or neuromodulators is that the medication is injected into the muscle. It takes effect by essentially putting the muscle to sleep or paralyzing the muscle temporarily. Now, both filler and Botox are eventually going to get metabolized in the body, through your bloodstream, your lymphatic pathways, and through our normal organs of elimination, like the liver, the kidneys, all that. The Botox gets metabolized much faster. And I will say that there are medical benefits to using Botox, people with post-spasticity, stroke symptoms, cerebral palsy. So I don't think that it's necessarily, the worst thing.
And TMJ, I have a lot of clients who get it for TMJ.
TMJ, migraines. So there are medical implications for using Botox.
Positive implications.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Positive things that can come about from using Botox, but you can also use them for cosmetic purposes. Filler, on the other hand, in my opinion, is just a little bit more dangerous.
Yes, I feel the same way. I do. My husband doesn't know this, so if anybody's listening, don't tell him. I do get Botox in between my eyebrows, like twice a year or something. And I do. It makes me I'm so happy about it. But how does paralyzing in one way with the lymph system you want and face yoga, you want to move your face to help release the lymph fluid, but yet we want to freeze it to help smooth fine lines. So it's like this.
Well, you know what it is? It's taking a different route. It's like someone taking the highway versus someone taking the backcountry roads, right? You're going to the same destination of smoothing the lines in between your brows. One person is taking the highway where it's going to paralyze the muscle for a short amount of time. That's going to help to relax the wrinkles. And one of the negative side effects of that is that it does restrict blood flow and movement through that area for that time. The other person wants to do more, take that backcountry, road to get to the same result. They're going to do things like face yoga. They're going to do things like facial massage and work on the tissue daily so that they can start to see that area relax. The negative thing that can come from that is that you can get frustrated that it takes a while. But if you can get to that point, then it actually empowers you and makes you feel so much more that your face and your hands and your health is totally manipulated and controlled by you.
Yeah, I love that.
But that's really the way I see it. And I actually work with a lot of patients who are using Botox and they're like, I can't stop because I can't stand these lines. But what we do is we work together. And so I'll inject them, in between the brows or on the forehead. And then I'll say, okay, at 3 months, because Botox usually lasts anywhere from 3.5 to 5 months. And I'll say around 3.5 months, I want you to start doing these exercises. Okay.
So with your exercises, you tell people to wait 3 months, not a week or two, but 3 months.
Yes, because what will happen is the exercises will start to metabolize the product quicker, and then they're going to be upset with me that I made them spend all that money.
Right. Well, so this is what I say too. If you are going to get lymphatic massage, or if you're going to do lymphatic self massage, I always say wait, a week or 2 weeks to do lymphatic self massage. But question for you is, if I'm somebody who's getting Botox just around my forehead, listen, I am 53 years old. I have plenty of lines everywhere else that I don't do anything about, and I don't really care about it. I don't care that I have laugh lines. I don't care that I have folds by my nose or my chin. That's where I really concentrate on my lymphatic self massage. And I will do the face massage, 3 to 4 times a week, even though I've had the Botox. I won't do the face massage for, 10 days or after, but then I'll do face massage everywhere else.
Yeah, everywhere else is fine. And I think that you're making a really good point, is that you can absolutely do both and find that healthy balance. I get a lot of diehard holistic people, and I'm a very holistic person myself.
Me too.
Who say, I would never do Botox. That's against my,
Right.
my beauty religion to do Botox. Well, what else is against your beauty religion? Are you going out and having 5 or 6 drinks on the weekend? Are you, sitting in front of Netflix and binging on TV? Like what? Like, let's talk about the poisons in our life and what we need to prioritize.
The environmental toxins,
Right.
some of which we can't control. Household products, the beauty products you're putting on your skin. There's so many, right? So it's sort of choose your medicine there.
Choose your medicine, choose your poison, and just find the balance.
Yes, find what makes you feel good. I'm similar to you in that I don't guilt myself. I don't feel bad about it. I'm happy to admit it, maybe not to my husband, but I'm happy to have a conversation about it and talk about what is real. I don't, as much as I would love flawless skin, it's not my priority. And this is, again, where you and I come from, this working with people who've been medically compromised or have had health issues. And what we have both seen is that health comes from within. And how can we focus on sleep, diet, eating right? Oh, that leads me to my next question for you. How can we focus on all these other beautiful, joyful things that will help actually our skin and our appearance? And that brings me to my next question is, you seem to me to be a spiritual person, and whatever, define that for yourself, but manifesting, seeking books to, I don't know if it's finding inner peace or finding a connection to something deeper within us. And I know you recommend books that have helped you along your path. And I do believe finding a spiritual center, I think, is so beneficial for our inner peace and our outer glow. So I would love for you to talk to us about that.
Yeah, I think, to your point, everything that we consume plays a role in how we show up every day. So, and when I say consume, I don't mean just what you eat and what you drink. That also includes what you read, what you watch, what you listen to, what you apply to your skin, the people that you're around, the thoughts that you're having, the things that you say to yourself. These are all forms of consumption, and we are an accumulation of those consumable things in our lives, and really an accumulation of the small choices that we make on a daily basis. And I tell people all the time, yes, like, I think it's really important that you care about what you put in your body in terms of food and what you apply to your skin in terms of your skincare, and make sure it's top quality and all that. But really, truly, it's what you hold in your heart that is what gives you that radiant glow. It is how you handle stress. It
I
is
agree.
how you show grace in situations where, things are not going the way that you want them to. It is in how you handle yourself and how you respond that gives you your power. And that is what makes you glow.
I couldn't agree more. And I'm a yoga teacher also, and we used to always say, yoga, it really happens when you're standing in line at the grocery store, or
I love that.
when you're how you react when something doesn't go your way. You have a beautiful quote that I just love, where you say, what is good for the soul is good for the skin.
Yes.
And for us not to forget that, if that means buying flowers or taking a day off or whatever it is, you think that does show up in the skin.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, and it's those little decisions and choices that you make every day and how you respond to things that you don't have control over.
So then, in terms of consumption, talk to me about collagen and fat and diet for the skin. I'm
Yeah.
like, right? Like
Oh,
everyone's
yeah.
like, it's like low fat, high fat, collagen,
Yes.
foods. And I'm just, tell me what you know and what you think.
Well, okay, so I started getting super into my diet when I was trying to heal my skin.
Me
And,
too.
and then, learning all the things about the body and how things are, absorbed in the small intestines, and then they go to
Yes.
this and that, and, how it all gets processed. And so for a little while, I became maybe a little over obsessed with what I was eating and like really crazy about what I was not going to put in my body. I have found the balance, and it's about an 80-20, which I think is completely normal and doable. But what I normally try to fill my plate with, and I like to fill my plate with things rather than think of it as I'm not going to eat this. I'm restricting myself. I don't like to restrict myself. I think of it more as I'm going to fill my plate and my diet with things that I know that are good for me, and all the things that I don't need are actually going to just start naturally being filtered out. And anyone who's listening, the more you educate yourself about this, the easier those decisions become. So when you understand that eating a donut is not good for your blood sugar versus having an apple, which is still sugar, but it's a different kind of sugar. When you understand the science behind it, it makes your decision much easier. Now, that being said, let's get back to what I normally fill my plate with. I eat a lot of vegetables. I try to do mostly soft or cooked vegetables, but I do enjoy my salads. I do enjoy raw vegetables sometimes. If I'm having fruit, I'm not a huge fruit eater, but I do like to have like berries in my smoothie.
So good for the lymphatic system, the
Yes,
berries.
yes.
Very good.
I typically will not, if I'm hungry, I will typically not grab a piece of fruit. So I typically get my fruit through smoothies, lots of berries, and then lots of high quality fats like
Yes.
coconut oil, avocados, hemp seeds. But I always try to include healthy fats. I do eat high quality cheeses. I know that sometimes people say dairy is a sensitivity for acne, which it can be. But if you're eating high quality cheese and your body is okay with it, then I think it's actually a great source of fat and protein.
And same with nuts. I've seen nuts disrupt people's digestive system and acne, whereas some people can handle them and some people can handle certain nuts, and also quantity.
Yeah, so I don't think anything's off the table. It's just
Right.
about finding what is good for your own system.
I agree.
I eat a lot of probiotic foods. I think that's really good for gut function. So I have a lot of kimchi, kefir, drinks if I can, kombucha, stuff like that. And then a lot of high quality proteins. Proteins are so important for building healthy facial muscles.
I love this.
You eat protein to build a strong body, but you do all this face yoga and then you only eat a salad with no protein. Then your workout is not going to be, you're kind of cutting yourself short.
Absolutely. There's such this, debate about protein and animal protein. And I also do think nothing is a one size fits all. Listen to your body. How does it feel? How does it react after you eat X, Y, or Z? I don't eat chicken. And, people are like, oh my God, I can't believe you don't eat chicken. I'm like, it doesn't agree with me. There's so much estrogen in chicken that I'm not into that. But, I eat other meats. So everybody finds their way, I think.
Yes, I have lots of friends who are perfectly healthy and they look fantastic. They have figured out their vegan or vegetarian diets and they do absolutely wonderful on those diets. Myself, I need to have animal protein in my diet. And I will say, for some people, maybe they don't know yet. It's a process. I've had a few vegan clients come in, and the biggest common complaint that I have with vegan clients is I feel like my skin is sagging.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the protein. They're not getting enough protein. And I say, okay, I understand you want to be vegan. You need to find an adequate source of protein because the reason why your skin is falling is because there's nothing to support it underneath. And so you have to get the amino acids to start building that muscle again.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a matter of finding what works for you.
Absolutely. Now, I want to ask you about the importance of human touch. Touch is a language we learn as a newborn. Touch, I've written in my book, it's used in every culture. We just sometimes don't think to use it on ourselves. We weren't raised really to learn to touch ourselves or to self-soothe. There's evidence that shows that touch has been used to produce stress, anxiety. It can help improve immune function, sleep, pain, nausea, fatigue, side effects of chemotherapy, chronic conditions such as fibromyalgia and lupus. It can also help wounds heal faster. And I know that you know the language of touch very well. You use it every day. You see the benefits. So how do you touch yourself? How do you touch your clients? How do you view touch and how do you use touch in your practice and to nourish yourself?
I use it on a daily basis for myself always, and then for my clients as well. For myself, it is a way of connecting. It is a way of getting away from the electronics, getting away from my monkey mind, and putting the energy that's in my body back into my body using the energy of my own hands. So sometimes what I will do, and this is something that I recommend my clients to do as well, is if you're ever feeling disconnected, just place your hands on your face and set a timer for 2 minutes and just move your hands around and notice what you feel. Notice the texture of your skin, notice your elasticity. And by doing that, you actually start to become more in tune with what your body is asking for, what it needs, what it's telling you, because your body's always giving you messages.
We say the same things. It's like we're separated at birth. I swear to God, I loved it.
Exactly. And then, in terms of my clients, especially, I would say that my facial massage and skincare practice boomed even more after COVID. I think that people were really craving touch, really craving touch. And so when they come in, I know that that's what they are there for. Yes, they want answers about this or that. They want to look more sculpted. They want me to extract their pores. But what they're really there for is the human touch and to feel taken care of. And so I don't ever perform Reiki on someone without asking them first, but I always have that sort of let me get into the zone before I start a treatment. And when I was younger, for a very brief time, I played the piano, and I was very good actually until my piano teacher moved away. And then, my mom was like, forget it. We're not doing it anymore. But I often find myself like almost playing a person's face like I did the piano, where it's emotional, it's spiritual, it's, I'm moving my body. My eyes are closed too. Like we are in this together so that you can get to a place where your body can heal yourself, because I'm not healing you. I'm trying to get you to a place where your body knows what to do and it will just start healing itself on its own.
We literally say the same exact things. I swear, I say the same thing. My lymphatic teacher taught us Qigong and grounding exercises. And since I was young, we did meditation and visualization as a family. And it really is all about getting in touch with a source, whatever that source is, and getting out of the way. I don't feel like I'm doing anything to someone. I'm just helping somebody connect to their inner rivers of healing that exists also. And the lymphatic technique is the vessel. So similar to what you say. And I absolutely love that about the human touch. And the other thing that you notice during pandemic, I also notice not every family is raised with touch. My family was. We were big loving time on the couch, cuddling, and big touch. I come from a Jewish family. We're all about like over loving, but not everybody is like that. And some people that I've worked with, it's their first time experiencing touch. They're nervous about it, or there's also been abuse with touch. And that's one of the reasons I love doing lymphatic self-massage, teaching people self-massage, is to empower people to integrate touch themselves. But then also, how can we overcome people's barriers with touch?
Right, right. One of the things that I notice in my treatment room and also just with experience is sometimes when I'm touching someone's face, I know just based off where they're holding tension and how they're reacting to my touch, what the, that there's a block there somewhere. And so sometimes what I'll do is I'll ask them questions. Like, how's your digestion?
Mm-hmm.
Or like, do you feel anxiety? Do you drink enough water? Like, do you tend to hold your face in this position often? And often that opens people up to
Yes.
start exploring themselves and start asking themselves the questions that they need to, because maybe they've never thought of it before. Maybe they've never, looked at themselves as, a piece of something you can study and learn about. So there are ways to break the barrier, to get people to understand that, you are like, your body is your temple, and there are ways that you can take care of it yourself. You don't always have to look outside yourself at doctors or other therapists. The healer is within.
Yes, they say that our cells hold memory, right? And also in the brain and the amygdala, but those emotions can impede flow. And so honoring the gift of touching somebody or teaching them how to touch themselves. One of the things you said that I really love is where you tell people to set a timer and just touch yourself for 2 minutes. One of the things that I also say that I love about lymphatic self-massage is you are really understanding your internal landscape, whether that's your chest or your breast or your stomach or your face, without judgment, seeing if you could feel that tissue quality change. So I want to ask you about your tools that you have. There's one I'm definitely getting, the vibration one for the face. I'm so into that because
Oh, yeah.
vibration's great for the lymph system.
Vibrational therapy is just so beneficial for the lymph, for circulation, for everything. And, it has like this very calming effect on the nervous system. It helps to boost your immunity. I use it all the time just to kind of reset my mind and reset my energy.
So run us through your suite of tools and when you would use one versus the other tool. And, for me, my hands are more of a medicine for me than a gua sha tool. Sometimes I think people can be too heavy-handed with a gua sha tool, and that is about education. So run us through your suite of tools and explain those for us, please.
Sure. All right. I will try to go through this pretty quickly. So obviously the best tools you're ever going to have are your own two hands. You're using, human touch, you're using the energy from your heart to project through your hands. But sometimes it's really fun and it makes it almost into a sacred ritual when you have a tool. And just like how for certain things, for example, when you eat a salad, you can eat a salad with your hands. But a tool sometimes makes it a little easier, right? You don't get as much of the dressing on your fingers. It's a little bit more elegant. So that's why that's why I like to use tools with my skincare rituals, because I do love using my hands, but sometimes I just want to use, something fancy and something nice that makes it a little extra special. And it also enforces me to follow through with the entire ritual. So I have a couple different tools. I have a basic shaped gua sha tool that is more of like a heart shaped with a bigger sort of surface area. And the way you always want to use this, just like your hands with lymphatic drainage, almost flat to the skin. And this is a really great beginner tool for someone. This is called my Nephrite Medicine Woman tool, and it is a part comb for the scalp because we always want to stimulate the lymph nodes and, the lymph activity that's going on around the scalp and the head.
I love that because the glymphatic system is the word that is the combination of your glial cells and your lymphatic system. And it was discovered in 2012 that the lymphatic system works with your cerebral spinal fluid when you sleep to help clear out the amyloid plaque that's indicated in the neurodegenerative diseases such as MS, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. So I'm always encouraging people to also do that scalp massage, work along the patterns of drainage in the head. So I love that you have a comb on the gua sha side of the tool to really increase that lymphatic circulation.
I learned about the lymphatic system through you, through, I think it was a podcast I heard you speak on, I forget which one it was, and then also through your book. And so that's why I now tell my clients about the lymphatic system.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
And I tell them use the big comb, because you have the lymph nodes here that help with clearing out all the waste from your mind and from your brain that's going to help your health, later on in life. So I have this tool here. And then I also have another gua sha tool. This one's a little bit more of a sculpting tool.
Gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. First of all, it looks like a woman's body.
Yes, it is called the Venus sculpting tool, and it is made out of rose quartz, and it is meant to look like a woman and really help you to embody your feminine divine power. And it is a sculpting tool, but you can also use it for lymphatic drainage. And when I say sculpting, what I mean is with this tool, you can actually use a little bit more pressure on certain areas to shape the face and actually loosen the fascia, because sometimes it's tight fascia that's restricting our movement of our lymphatic system or restricting the movement of blood circulation. And so by playing with the fascia and releasing those tight bonds and releasing the cellular stagnation that has accumulated over the years through, toxic chemicals or toxic relationships, emotions, whatever, you are actually able to get more energy flow through. So this is my Venus tool that really just, when I use this, I just feel more feminine. I just feel more like I want to be this beautiful goddess woman taking care of my face. All of a sudden my bathroom in my mind is transformed into this like beautiful exotic garden, and I'm just there, working on my face that, that's just like what I'm doing.
I love that. I'm a big believer in visualization, so I love that.
Yes, so I do that a lot with my Venus tool. So both of my gua sha tools, again, just like what you would do with the hands for lymphatic drainage, you're going to use them in the same way. Light pressure, tool almost flat to the skin. The depth is very superficial, and it gives you really great results.
And we're going to link in the show notes where you can get this on your website, beautyshamans.com. Is that where you can get that? Great, fantastic. The other thing I wanted to ask you before you move on to another tool about gua sha, I always say massage the lymph nodes at the terminus above the collarbone in the beginning and at the end. And the other thing I always say, a lot of times when you buy a gua sha stone, or estheticians will say, move the gua sha stone from the neck up to the ears to plump the skin, to give it the, collagen. But what I always say is to do your drainage lymph down the neck to the lymph nodes first to drain out that excess fluid first. Tell me what you think about the patterns of moving your gua sha stone on the face.
So I do pretty much the same thing that you just described. I always tell people to start, if they want to go, full routine, I tell them to start on the chest and then work their way up to the collarbone. And then from the ear down towards the collarbone, I like to use the analogy of tangles in your hair, that you would never just take a brush from the top of your hair and start to brush through the tangles. You're going to get those tangles out first at the bottom before brushing all the way through. So you want to get the tangles out where your major lymph nodes of detoxification are first. So you get those tangles out by stimulating the lymphatic system around the terminus and then down from the ear down to the collarbone. And then once it's open, then your movements are always going to be sweeping outward, so that everything can drain.
Right, sweeping along the face outwards to drain. That's what I say. The analogy, I love your analogy. The analogy I always use is like if you have a dirty ring around your bathtub and you want to clean the ring around your bathtub, what's the first thing you do? And a lot of people say, oh, they just clean the ring, similar to brushing from the hair down. And I say, no, you got to get the hair out of the drain first. Otherwise, once you clear that ring, what happens at the drain site? It's filled with dirty, germy water. So I'm a big analogy person. Massage the lymph nodes first, clear the hair around the drain, get the tangles out, then we can move that fluid. And then at some point, do you tell people to work up to plump things up, or do you not say that?
So, not necessarily so much on the neck, but on the face, I do a combination of draining out and down, but also I do some movements that are meant to go up, but those are mostly for training the tissue. And when I'm doing that, I'm not so much focused on lymphatic drainage at that moment. I'm focused on how can I manipulate my tissue, my fascia to be trained in a more upward position.
Yes, aesthetic. There's times to do different things.
And the intention behind it as well. So, I will do some upward strokes and I will say, okay, you're going to take your tool upward. It's going to be wrapped around your cheeks because we're helping to shape the cheeks, bring it all the way up into the hairline because that's going to reinforce that muscle group moving into the scalp. But then at the very end, and I always end with this, much like you, always end with drainage going out and then down all the way to the terminus.
You're speaking my language, lady. You're speaking my language. I love it. Okay, tell me what other tools in your toolbox.
All right, so then I have the energy wand.
That's what I want.
Yes, it vibrates 6,000 times per minute. So when you turn it on, it will start vibrating. Now it has a smaller head than a gua sha, but you can still use it in the same movements that you would for a gua sha tool. So you can still move it underneath the eyes to get rid of puffiness under the eyes.
That's what I have. That's one of my problems.
It's going to use that vibrational therapy to, start activating the movement of all the fluids. You can use it above the eyes. I typically like to use it on my forehead for relaxation because the vibrations are so good for the nervous system that it actually stimulates you to take that big belly breath, which then triggers your lymphatic system.
Would you say philosophically, is it similar to like a microcurrent device?
No, microcurrent is mimicking the electrical impulses in your body to increase ATP in the muscle cells, which will then tone the muscles.
What is ATP?
ATP is adenosine triphosphate, and it is what is stimulated to create energy in the cell. So that is what microcurrent is doing. This is just vibration. So it's not going deep to the muscles. It's purely superficial, and that's why it's good for the lymphatic system and the nervous system.
Yes, that's exactly what I was just thinking. For our listeners, your lymphatic system moves at a superficial level. So that wand, that's one of the reasons why I want that wand, is that will increase that lymphatic flow and that superficial layer of the skin, which is what we're looking for. So I love that.
Yes. And the other thing that it does, and I don't remember if I mentioned this before, is when you use it, the vibrations are what helps to move the lymph, but also stimulate and sort of calm your nervous system. And that actually triggers your vagus nerve so that you are putting your body and your mind more in that parasympathetic nervous state, which then helps you to breathe deeper, which propels your lymph even more. So it is just, that's why it's the energy wand, because it shifts your energy.
Mm-hmm. And also there are studies that show vibration increases lymphatic circulation. So everyone, we're all getting the wand. We're getting the gua sha. We're getting the wand. What's next?
The last one I have is my reflexology wand.
Yes.
Now this one we could do a whole other podcast on.
Yes, I know.
I'm going to keep this a little bit brief, but
okay.
Reflexology is a super powerful modality to help balance your mind and your body. It's a way of triggering different points on the face that are connected to different organs, energy centers, and emotions that we hold in the body, and bringing them into a state of balance and getting things out of the way so that your body can start healing itself. I call this the storyteller reflexology wand because when you use it, it tells a story about your face. It tells a story about what's going on with you presently. So you understand where you're carrying stress. Are your heart points, are they, stimulated and activated? Are they stressed out? Are your kidney points being overstressed? So it's a way of checking in. So this is also such an amazing, amazing tool. And you can use it, this side of it, for lymph drainage as well.
Oh, I love that. I've been doing reflexology since 1993, as long as I've been doing lymphatic drainage for 30 years now. I'm a big believer in reflexology. I'm also a big believer in the organs, the emotions of the organs. I wrote about that in the book of Lymph. And what I also love about your wand is you do a lot of free tutorials on your Instagram, even though you have videos people can pay for, so they'll be more in depth. But everyone, I hope they follow you at Beauty Shamans, and so you learn more about that tool and more about the facial mapping and reflexology. I want to ask you about facelifts and scars. So lymphatic drainage is very beneficial for anyone who's had surgery. It can accelerate the healing of wounds. It can also help with the keloiding. It can help minimize scar tissue. So I always tell people, if you're going to have any work done, if you're going to have any elective surgery or necessary surgery, always come and see your lip practitioner before, and obviously wait a few weeks or a month after once you have clearance from your doctor, but to work on the scars. So do you work on people with scars, and how do you see that being beneficial to them?
So as an esthetician, my scope of practice is a little bit limited. And there are certain things that for liability reasons, I would probably never do, especially in New York City. But I do consult people that if they have a fresh scar, they're going to need to have clearance from their doctor before coming to see me. And they do. And when they do, we work on mostly lymphatic drainage, which can then help the area to heal. I don't do a lot of massage in the area. I do have access to a laser that can help with regenerating tissue and helping with scar tissue as well, and helping the area to heal. But I would say what I use the most in conjunction with lymphatic drainage is LED light.
Yes. Oh, that's
so amazing for healing
yes.
scars and for just healing wounds in general. So my approach with scars is, minimal at first. I need clearance from a doctor because I don't want to reopen the scar.
That's right. I always say that too. I'm always conservative about when we start working around the scar. With the LED lights, I in the show notes will also link to, I know you have a lot of recommendations for different LED face masks that you like that are on the market. Now that'll be good for our audience to check that out, because it's like, the wild, wild west out there with different face masks.
Oh my gosh, there's so much. There's so much. And the thing is that there are different wavelengths of light.
Right.
And a lot of the masks on the market are only using a limited amount of the light you're getting. And they're charging just as much as, you would for the full spectrum. I work with a company that uses a patented multi-wave technology, and you get 4 wavelengths of red light. You get the far infrared, which is great for deeper healing, repairing muscle tissue. You get the amber lights, the red, and the deep red, which are all varying levels of wavelengths that help to heal the skin and boost collagen. With a lot of these masks that you see online, they're only using red and deep red.
Okay.
Red or amber, but they're not using the full spectrum.
What's the name of the company?
Lightston.
Yes. Yeah, they're great. So, question, we're going to do a little bit more of a lightning round now So, listen, I've been in the field of lymphatic health for 30 years, and I've been really waiting for lymphatic awareness to hit the mainstream health and beauty wellness world. And, I didn't mind waiting, but I'm so happy it's here. And I'm curious, why do you think it took so long to catch on?
I think it took a long time to catch on because people want a magic bullet.
Right.
I think
that's right.
They want a fix me now. They want one machine to do it in one visit, and they're not willing to be patient with the normal functions and rhythms of our body. And I think that that's actually if you zoom out, that's actually like a bigger problem, is that we as humans are not aligned with the natural rhythms of nature anymore. And we're so connected with our electronic devices and, the virtual world, that we've just started moving further and further away from our true nature. And our true nature is playful, it's slow, is rhythmic, you know?
Yes.
And so I think that now it's starting to become, I think, a little bit more of a hot topic, and mostly because I think of, social media and the fact that you can actually spread this information virtually now. I mean, yes, I know I
Yes.
just said we're all in our phones, but there is a positive to that too, that you can learn
Right.
all of this information, and you don't have just those select few individuals scattered across the country that can only work
Right.
on their patients.
Right. Yes, I agree with that. And I'm not a big scroller. I don't scroll a lot on social media, but like I'll scroll for a little bit and then I kind of stop. But it has been so beneficial to get that word out. And what's your beauty routine?
It changes every day, but I
I love
but I
that.
do something every day. Just like how I write something in my journal every day, whether it's a paragraph, 5 pages, or one sentence, same principle applies to my skin. I do something for my skin every day, whether that's facial massage, and that can range from anywhere from 5 minutes to 20 minutes. I will, probably do gua sha maybe about 4 or 5 times a week. When I'm in bed, I always love to do reflexology, because then that really helps me to, tune into myself and feel my body relax. And then some nights I just focus on complexion, texture. I do LED. I, put on more of like a chemical peel or something like that. I just make sure that I'm keeping a variety of different things, just like my diet, with my food. I don't want to eat the same thing every single day. So I try to stay open. I explore a lot with my own face. I try to come up with new movements, but I do something every day, and
I love that.
mostly in the evenings. And it's
Now,
very intuitive.
yes, I love that you say that it's intuitive. I feel the same way. When people ask me about lymphatic self-massage, how often should you do it? Or what should you do? Or what's the most important thing? And I always say, the most important lymphatic self-massage to do is the one you're called to do.
Yes, absolutely. That is, you took the words out of my mouth. That is exactly what
Right.
it should be, because you shouldn't feel forced to do something.
Ex-
You should
That's right.
want to do it, and it should be this discovery of, where is it taking me now? What am I going to do now? What do I feel in my face where I need to release more tension?
That's right. That's right. Now, can you tell us like the benefits or the difference between doing an LED face mask versus when do you do like a peel for your face, or when do you do retinol, or when do you like there's so many different, oil. I know you're big on the oil cleansing. So there's there's so many little pieces that I think somebody who is just beginning, it can feel like, oh my God, that's a lot.
Yes, it is a lot.
So how do you begin?
Okay.
I know it's a journey. Listen, for me too, it's a journey. I don't do everything for my skin. I'll do some things and I go through waves with them.
Yeah, and I think that that's completely normal, and I do the same. The products that I use, the bread and butter, are my own products, my Beauty Shamans products that are seaweed based, and that's really what has transformed my skin the most. But I will go through phases where I want to use a retinol. And so when you're using a retinol, and it's always during like the winter months, so I just did a round of, retinol last month, and this month I'm not really touching it. But if you're combining retinol or really any active on your skin with things like facial massage, gua sha, LED, there is an order that you want to go in that's going to be the most beneficial. So for example, if you are doing your gua sha or facial massage, you're going to do your normal routine. You're going to massage your face with a little bit of oil on the skin. Your skin will get the benefits of the oil, but then you wash it off completely. And then you apply your active or your retinol to your skin so that your skin can absorb the medicine or nutrients that it's getting from that. And then it's up to you if you want to put something over it. When you're using LED, however, you always want to apply your retinol after your LED. because the LED will help whatever product you have on the skin absorb faster and absorb deeper. And so with retinol and actives, you want to be extremely careful with how fast you're letting those things absorb into the skin. So I always tell people use it after you do your LED mask or your LED wands or anything like that. But for the most part, I'm just applying my products and massaging and using my gua sha, like as I'm applying them.
Shelly, I just fell in love with you more than I did before, which I didn't know that was possible. And I'm sure our audience has completely fallen in love with you and are obsessed and going to hunt you down and like follow along with your every movement on social media. So please tell us, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Beauty Shamans, and my website is www.beautyshamans.com.
Great. And tell us about your tutorial course that you offer.
So I launched the Skin Within Studio, which is part of my website. So if you go to beautyshamans.com, you will see that there is the Skin Within Studio there. And it is a virtual space where I offer classes in facial massage, gua sha, reflexology, face yoga, and all of the classes range from 5 to 20 minutes. And you follow along and we do it together. And it's a great way to learn how to touch your face.
I love that. My lymphatic masterclass is also centered around the video tutorials, and it's so beneficial for people to follow along the video so they really can see how to do the moves and get comfortable, because I think we learn kinesthetically when we're actually doing it. So everyone go check out her video course. So we ask all of our guests a closing question. This is our segment, in flow and out of flow. So what does it feel like to be in flow?
Peaceful. When you're with the rhythm of your own body, you can be at peace. And I think that, and I say this a lot, peace doesn't happen after we heal, but when we agree to heal.
Ooh, I love that. Say that one more time.
Peace does not happen after we heal, but when we agree to heal.
I love that so much. Now, how do you overcome stagnation or stagnant periods of your life when you're out of flow?
Meditation, journaling, and music. I use a lot of music and sound. I am studying it now, actually, to become a sound facilitator, because I
Cool.
realized the future of medicine is becoming a lot more holistic, and sound is such a powerful way of helping different frequencies to heal and align our bodies with our true nature.
I love that. So if you were in person with me in Los Angeles, if you were here, you'd be in my home. And one of the things we would do is we would be having tea together during this podcast. My mother, who passed away when I was 13, collected these teacups, and they were all different colors. And this was my favorite one as a child. And so for every guest, I pick out a teacup that feels symbolic of them. And this is the one that I picked out that felt like it resonated with you. It has purple leaves and yellow leaves, and they're clustered together, but they seem to be flowing. And there's little green sprigs of life. And that yellow reminds me just of this radiant, vibrant sunshine that you give off. And the purple reminds me of that amethyst, which is that prism of light, of that healing. And I just wanted to sort of share that little bit with you, that this is what you'd be served in.
Thank you so much. I love tea. And what's so interesting about that cup that you chose for me is that I have one that my grandmother gave me, and it looks almost identical to that.
What?
Yes. Yes.
No way. I'm going
And
to cry.
it's a teacup. It looks exactly like that.
That's freaking amazing. Okay. Last thing before we sign off, which is, what are you looking forward to that's coming up this year? What would you like to manifest or do this year?
That is a really good question. I am looking forward to relaxing more.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to connecting with more people like yourself because I feel like it's really important to build this community and to support other people who are trying to spread the word about how to take your health and your beauty into your own hands. And so I'm really just excited to experience what life has coming for me.
I love that. I love that. Thank you again so much, Shelly, for being here. This has been such a great conversation. I've loved it. To my audience, if you know someone who needs to hear this information, I know you're going to share this episode with them. I hope that you share this episode with them. And Shelly, I just feel like this is the beginning of a relationship that you and I are going to have. And I see in-person events for us in our future. That's what I'm visualizing for us.
100%. That's another thing I'm looking forward to in the coming years. So thank you so, so much for having me. This was amazing.
Thank you so much, Shelly, for being here today. It was such a pleasure, and I hope to see you again soon.